Lando Norris shocked everyone at the recent Chinese Grand Prix by zooming past his competitors to snatch second place, right behind the unstoppable Max Verstappen. The racing world is buzzing, with McLaren's Norris showing unexpected speed and leaving rivals in the dust. Moreover, with exciting updates planned for the upcoming Miami Grand Prix, Norris is gearing up for more surprises. So, let's dive into this video today to know how Norris is shaking up the F1 world. Last year's Miami Grand Prix was tough for McLaren, with Lando Norris finishing 17th and his teammate Oscar Piastri in 19th place. But since that disappointing race, McLaren has introduced several updates to its cars. These improvements have significantly boosted their performance, resulting in Norris and Piastri climbing to 6th and 9th in the drivers' standings in 2023. Continuing into 2024, McLaren has maintained the strong momentum from the previous year. This was evident in Norris's recent podium finish in China, further fueling his optimism. Speaking to F1 TV after securing second place in China, Norris expressed his confidence in the team's progress. Norris stated confidently, "Momentum is not just building, it's been there for a long time, so no, nothing needs to be built," said a positive Norris, speaking to F1 TV after his second place in China. "I've had confidence in the team for a long time. I've had faith that we can improve for a long time and have been improving for a long time." With the next race in Miami just around the corner, Norris is hopeful for even more success for himself and McLaren. Lando Norris has continued his strong performance in 2024, securing another podium by finishing third at the Australian Grand Prix. This success has further boosted the spirits within the McLaren team, fostering a growing sense of optimism about the rest of the season. Reflecting on the season's progress, Norris shared his positive outlook. "We've had a good start to the year," he said. "We've continued to show that and have good things coming, so the optimism remains there going into Miami." McLaren upgrades for the Miami Grand Prix. McLaren is gearing up for a significant push at the Miami Grand Prix, aiming to challenge the dominance of Red Bull, the current leader of the 2024 season. This sixth round of the year will also feature another exciting sprint weekend. After a strong performance in China, where Lando Norris secured second place, McLaren is optimistic and eager to continue their upward trend. Since the middle of the 2023 season, McLaren has been on an upward trajectory, thanks to several key upgrades that have significantly boosted their performance. Despite the progress, there's still a noticeable gap to the front-runners, Red Bull and Ferrari, who have displayed impressive speed this season. Nonetheless, McLaren is not sitting back. The team has meticulously planned enhancements which are set to debut at the Miami race, aiming to close the gap further and shake up the standings. With the stakes high and the team's morale boosted by recent successes, McLaren's camp is filled with hope as they prepare to unveil their latest developments in Miami. They aim to make this event memorable for the team and its fans. Andrea Stella, McLaren's team principal, is deeply focused on improving the team's performance and bridging the gap to top teams like Red Bull. Stella has a great deal of respect for Red Bull's achievements and uses their success as motivation for his own team. "I've never thought about it. My focus is not on if Max would not be there. My focus is on how we can close the gap to Max," Stella said, highlighting his admiration for Red Bull's consistency and excellence in Formula One. Stella praises Red Bull for making winning look easy, even though he knows it's anything but ordinary. "I have a lot of admiration for what Red Bull is achieving, and I think winning so consistently is not easy. There's so many reasons why things can go wrong, even if they make it look simple to some extent," he explained. He also mentioned that seeing how Red Bull manages their operations and technical strategies is an inspiration and a benchmark for McLaren. Hats off to Red Bull, who are achieving technically, operationally and sporting, because even if it looks almost ordinary, it's not. So we take it as extra motivation. We take it as, to some extent, we look at how they do things, but my thoughts are, how do we get there? Reflecting on the dynamic nature of Formula One under the current regulations, Stella noted that several teams, including Ferrari and Aston Martin, have experienced rapid improvements and challenges. He believes McLaren could eventually challenge Red Bull's dominance with continued upgrades like those planned for the upcoming Miami Grand Prix. If we keep this development trajectory for the next 12 months, why not? We may reach Red Bull. We're going to have some upgrades in Miami. Let's see how they perform, Stella shared optimistically. He closed with an insight into the team's culture, emphasizing the importance of continuous improvement. There are many people at the factory who are all focused on generating developments, and it's always a battle of development. We have already seen cars like Stake have updates, Haas has been upgraded, and now they are consistently Q3 cars. That's the real job in Formula One, constantly improving cars, and that's what we must do. Let's now talk about Verstappen versus Norris. The Chinese Grand Prix was a scene of unexpected triumphs and reaffirmed dominance, with Max Verstappen securing another win, while McLaren's Lando Norris surprised everyone with a stellar performance. Verstappen, continuing his strong form, won the race, but not without challenges, including 2 safety cars that disrupted the flow and forced him to reclaim his lead twice. This victory widened his lead over his teammate Sergio Perez, who finished third by 25 points, a scenario that seems all too familiar in the 2024 Formula One season. Verstappen's performance showcased his significant pace advantage, making his dominance almost expected. However, the real shock came from Lando Norris and McLaren, who outperformed their expectations. Norris had little hope of maintaining his place from the 4th position behind the Ferraris, let alone outpacing them. Before the race, he was so convinced of being overtaken by the Ferraris that he jokingly proposed a bet to his race engineer, Will Joseph, that he would be passed by both. Joseph declined the bet, a decision he might have regretted as Norris held his position and surpassed it, finishing an impressive second. This performance by Norris not only challenged the Ferraris, but also reminded Red Bull that their control over Formula One might waver without Verstappen. For McLaren, what was anticipated as a race of damage limitation due to their car's weaknesses in low-speed corners turned into a showcase of capability and a hint of the potential upsets Norris could achieve. The race in Shanghai, held for the first time since the pandemic's onset in 2019, turned out to be a thrilling display of talent and strategy. It breathed unexpected excitement into the championship as Verstappen inches towards his 4th title. Lando Norris further shared a light-hearted moment saying, "I made a bet on how far we'd finish behind the Ferraris today, and I thought 35 seconds, but I was very wrong, happy to be wrong with myself and the bet," sounding like someone who had just discovered a winning lottery ticket in his pocket. In a strategic twist, McLaren made a pivotal decision during the race. They switched Norris to a one-stop strategy. This change came at an opportune moment under a virtual safety car, allowing Norris a free pit stop. This moved him to 2nd place, although he had to sustain his position for a challenging 34 laps. Despite describing himself as a pessimist, Norris embraced the challenge. His team principal, Andrea Stella, was elated and somewhat surprised by the outcome. "This was a good result and surprise," Stella remarked. "We maintained 2nd position thanks to the pace of the car and some amazing driving from Lando." Earlier in the race, Norris had shown his mettle by overtaking Fernando Alonso to secure 3rd place. However, his performance after the strategic pit stop truly made a difference. With a long stretch to the finish, Norris impressively managed his tyres and navigated the track precisely. Even as Sergio Perez pursued him aggressively, Norris maintained his composure and speed, ultimately extending his lead in the final laps and finishing ahead of the Mexican driver. So it was an extraordinary feat that Norris made a flawless run at the Chinese Grand Prix. With a minor hiccup at the end, he mistakenly drove towards the pit lane instead of his designated spot on the grid after the race. Despite this, McLaren's outcome was still a triumph, hinting at more success in the upcoming races. The team is set to introduce significant upgrades at the next Grand Prix in Miami, boosting their chances to emerge as the 2nd quickest team, a testament to their lengthy rebuilding efforts. Meanwhile, Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton struggled with a difficult car that Hamilton described as almost damaged due to its poor balance. Starting from 18th, Hamilton finished 9th, but the performance was far from satisfying. Toto Wolff, Mercedes team principal, acknowledged the car's deficiencies and the team's experimental attempts to enhance its performance, which have added to Hamilton's challenges so far. As the F1 circuit moves to Miami, all eyes will be on whether McLaren can continue their upward trajectory. At the same time, Max Verstappen remains the benchmark, dominating the race from start to finish, unaffected by challenges, and maintaining a comfortable lead despite the interventions of safety cars. So what do you think of the new bombshell by Norris? Comment below and subscribe for more.